Eagles fly into the Super Bowl with a 55-23 win over the Washington Commanders in the game Sunday early TV window. Last time somebody scored double nickels was me against Greg Bergman at Password, the word game of the stars, my old producer many, many years ago. But Saquon Barkley, 118 yards on the ground, the 55 points for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons, and this time they are riding the coattails of Saquon Barkley. And they will play former Eagle coach Andy Reid and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons. And if you were wondering, the 55 points, the most any team has scored in the conference championship game since they kept track of that kind of thing back in 1970, since the merger. So greatest offensive performance in the history of Championship Sunday in the NFL. We'll get into the Eagles. We have plenty of time. We got 2 weeks essentially here, nonstop Eagles and Chiefs. So the better story is in the losing locker room. And so that is where we are going to focus in on as Washington, the Cinderella season comes to an end, and it's all over. Here's the head coach of the Washington football team, Coach Dan Quinn, who knows a thing or two about losing in big games. Here he is. He's still praising his quarterback. Take a listen.
It just doesn't seem like there's going to be one that's too big, Ben, honestly. He's got rare competitiveness that makes him unique in a lot of ways. I love how he can stay into this space, in the toughest environments. It hurt him to come out at the end. He wanted to stay in. I said, that's my call. But that's the competitor, honestly. He's just, kind of wired in that way.
Can we play that again? I don't think I've ever heard a coach actually reference my name. Play that again. I want to hear that again. He said my name. Did he say my name?
It just doesn't seem like there's going to be one that's too big, Ben, honestly. He's got rare competitiveness that makes him unique in a lot of ways. I love how he can stay into this space.
Cut it off. He said Ben. Thank you. All right. Dan Quinn's not a bad guy. He said my name. All right. Anyway, let's get to the point. And the first question we will ask you as we discuss. What went wrong for Dan Quinn's Commanders? It's one thing to lose, but to lose with this kind of gusto. I've got bullfighting, tow truck, and Bambi. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some delicious pastrami, a nice pastrami sandwich on rye bread. Solid. All right, so number one. The problem with Washington, I jotted this down on my notes app on my phone. I was typing, I was futzing around with my phone. The problem is they could not hold the ball for 60 minutes. That was the problem. I'm feeling pretty good. Now, on the TV show, I did take the Commanders on the TV show. The Commanders came out of the gate on an 18-play drive. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm starting to text people. I told you. Look at this. They're playing keep away. I was feeling pretty good. 18-play drive, ate up over 7 minutes. Ate up over almost half the first quarter. And I'm like, okay, we got something. Here we go. And they ended up getting a field goal. Was like, okay, I'm fine. They got a field goal. Stay in the game, eat the clock. That's good. You're feeling all right. The problem is after they scored the field goal, they didn't try the onside kick, and they had to play the rest of the game. And the Eagles got the ball, and how many plays did it take them to go down and score a touchdown? How about a handoff to Saquon Barkley? 1 play, 60 yards, see you later, touchdown, Birds. Now, the rest of the game, Barkley was held to only 4.1 yards per carry, but still 60 on that first carry. It never got better after that. This was a new level of stinkage. And we thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck is what it was. The Commanders turned the ball over not once, not twice, not 3 times. How about 4 times? 3 fumbles, an interception, and a partridge in a pear tree. And that resulted in 28 points for the Eagles. So, hypothetically, if Washington had played a clean game, they would have only lost by 4 points, and they would have covered the spread. And ifs and buts were candy and nuts. I'd win all my bets. I don't. But who are we kidding? Right? Washington went into this game and they were practicing bullfighting. It's like they were in Tijuana at a bullfight. They were playing the Matador defense. Ole, 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 ole. It was lackluster. It was low effort. The Eagles put up 459 yards. And despite Washington having that 7-minute drive to start the game, the Eagles actually won the time of possession. So over the final 53 minutes, it was a domination situation, 7 of 7 in the red zone. That's like when the uncles play the kids at Thanksgiving. The parents play the kids, and they beat them 7 of 7 in the red zone. 7 of 7 in goal-to-go situations. Washington, it all came apart at the seams. The powder puff football from the team formerly known as the Redskins. Now, how about Jaden Daniels? That story. We'll hear from Jaden Daniels, who points out the Komodo dragon in the room. You got to hold on to the ball. Take a listen.
Turnovers play a huge factor into the game, especially playing a good team like Philly. You can't get those guys extra possessions.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. All right, here's one more from Jalen Daniels. He says he's not really enjoying what this is all about, and he has a wish.
Just savor this moment with the people in the locker room. Every year, every locker room is different. So, we earn the right to be here. But, at the end of the day, man, it just sucks. I don't want to have a feeling like this again. But, you got to deal with it and, move on from it.
Okay, so wide angle lens. How did Jaden Daniels do? So this is a tale of two halves. So I thought in the first half he was fine. He wasn't great, but I had jotted down good enough to win the game in the first half. Good enough to win the game. The turnovers that were an issue in the first half, but it wasn't backbreaking. They were still in the game 30 minutes in. In my mind, he outplayed Jalen Hurts in the first half. I didn't think Hurts was that great. So at halftime, I was like, all right, he's doing okay, and maybe they'll get a turnover. Washington, they'll get back in the game. But as the game kept going, and because of the score, time and score, Washington had to keep throwing the ball, and Daniels, by the time we got to the midway point of the third quarter, Jaden Daniels needed a tow truck. He was sputtering and ran out of gas, playing uphill. He ended with a thud, averaging in the second half 4.3 yards per pass, passer rating after halftime of 53.4, which ain't good. Now, is Jaden Daniels guaranteed to be back in the playoffs next season? So the answer to that is A-N, absolutely not. A-N, absolutely not. Now, I'm a big fan. I said on the TV show, and I believe this, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. He is. And I'm not taking that back. This was not his greatest moment. Jaden Daniels has written an amazing opening act to his manuscript, his NFL resume. The Commanders went from a suck-bag 4-win team last season to 12-5 this season. And now they go back to 0, which means they can go back to winning 6 games or 7 games next year. Nothing is given. Everything has to be earned. And we assume Washington's going to become a destination, or at least that's what we're going to hear, that they'll add defensive players. They'll try to put that patchwork defense together and at least be average. Defensively, they'll likely go out and get another playmaker on offense, another toy for Jaden Daniels to play with other than Terry McLaurin. And they'll have somebody else. But it's not guaranteed, right? I mean, everyone brings up Dan Marino. And, Dan Marino got to a Super Bowl right away. And everyone's like, well, second year, whatever it was, and they're going to be there again. And it never happened. All right, final point. So what was the secret sauce for the Birds? So it was not the mayor of Philadelphia. It was not, although she was probably excited, right? Can we hear from the mayor? Is the mayor there? No? I guess we don't have the mayor. Well, the secret sauce for the Birds, Mr. Clean, the magic eraser, Mr. Clean, right? No mistakes. Wall Washington handed them 4 presents, 4 of them, 4 presents. The Eagles are now 22-1 in their last 23 games when they've won the turnover battle. And we've pointed out that is the most important number that indicates whether you're going to win or not. If you don't turn the ball over and the other team does turn the ball over, your chances of winning are through the roof. To the moon! To the moon! Now, Philly's offensive line overpowered the defensive front of the Commanders. The big fat guys up front were better than the fat guys for the other team. In the second half, it was an infectious situation. It was rapidly spreading. They were a character from Disney's Bambi, the offensive and defensive line. They were thumper because this was a thumping that took place. Line them up and mow them down, knock them down, omnipresent, turned Washington into shredded chicken. Chicken. Now, how would you rate Saquon Barkley's performance? So Saquon Barkley, he had the 60-yard burst right at the beginning. He had the 3 touchdowns. It was majestic. And it was also nice because he went for 250 against the Rams in the last round, divisional round. He just kept going crazy and had a couple of big 60-plus yard runs. So he does it against everybody. And Barkley, if he was a circus act, he would be the human cannonball. He's great. Now, Kansas City's very good up front, and we'll see what they do. And everyone who plays Philadelphia wants Jalen Hurts to be the person that beats them with his arm because everyone doesn't think he's that good at throwing the football. And no one has been able to force Jalen Hurts to beat them with his arm. And if you can do that and Jalen Hurts beats you, okay, fine. But you'd rather that happen than Barkley. And so here we are.